Welcome to the Workamper Show, brought to you by Workamper.com. This podcast helps you discover how to finance your RV travel dreams. Each one of our episodes will introduce you to people who are already living the RV lifestyle or to work camping opportunities all around the U.S. You'll also learn how to hit the road the right way and make the most of every opportunity. Now let's turn over today's show to your host, Greg Gerber.
In today's episode, we're heading to the beautiful Pacific Northwest to learn about volunteer opportunities with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers at Oregon's Willamette Valley Project. Today's episode is sponsored by Workamper News, much more than just a job listing website. When you put the tools of this professional service into action, you'll find out just how easy it can be to turn your work camping dreams into reality. A Workamper membership opens the door to a one-stop shop for all things work camping. Being the original resource for work camping, you'll find the largest number of job listings, be able to connect with a community of work campers, and view resources compiled by experts who've been enjoying the RV lifestyle for many years. If you're serious about leading a successful and enjoyable work camping lifestyle, then membership is for you. Join today at www.workamper.com. Embark on new adventures today with the support of Workamper News behind you. Today I'm interviewing Ranger James Blakely, who describes his recreation system and the role work campers play in supporting its mission. The Willamette Valley Project includes 13 dams, each of which creates scenic lakes surrounded by forested land, boat ramps, and peaceful campgrounds. The Corps manages 3 of these campgrounds directly and recruits work campers to help keep them clean, welcoming, and well-maintained throughout the busy summer season. With opportunities ranging from campground hosting to hands-on maintenance roles, this is a great way to enjoy Oregon's natural beauty while giving back your time to support the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers mission. To tell us more about what the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers looks for in a volunteer and the benefits that come with the job, and how you can join their team, please welcome Ranger James Blakely to the show. Thanks for joining me today, James. I appreciate the time. How long have you worked for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers?
So I've been here, going on 2.5 years now. Prior to this, I had worked for the National Park Service. I had worked as a ranger at Carlsbad Cameron National Park, as an interpretive ranger, and then worked in Mount Rainier National Park and Grand Teton National Park.
I've been to all of those. How fun.
Those are all wonderful parks.
They are indeed. Tell us a little bit about your project.
I work for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. We are turning 250 years old this June, which that's exciting. But we are one of the nation's leading federal providers of outdoor recreation and the largest provider of water-based outdoor recreation with more than 400 lakes to river projects as an agency. So I specifically work for the Willamette Valley Project, which is part of the Portland District. The Willamette Valley Project consists of 13 dams within the Willamette Valley system here in Oregon. And our dams are primarily here to provide flood risk management, water supply. Some of them even generate hydroelectric power.
Okay.
And of course, with all of our dams, there's abundant recreational resources and opportunities.
Well, do all of the dams create a lake?
They do, yes.
Okay. Super. And they're all utilized for recreation?
They are, yeah. Some of our lakes we source some of our parks and stuff to like either Lane County parks or state park systems. They help manage some day use and campground areas. And then there are some that we specifically manage primarily here at Cottage Grove and Dorena Lakes. Our park ranger office is located on Cottage Grove Lake, right outside the town of Cottage Grove.
Very good. How many campgrounds do you folks include in your project?
So ones that we specifically manage, 3. So we have Schwartz Campground, Pine Meadows Campground, and Ivan Oaks Campground. And each one of those campgrounds are on different lakes.
How big are they?
So our Schwartz and Pine Meadows are our biggest campgrounds with between 80 to 100 campsites. Ivan Oaks, can't recall off the top of my head.
Okay. Very good. Are the campgrounds open year-round or are they seasonal?
They are all seasonal. So our Schwartz Campground opens the earliest, usually at the end of April. And then we'll start opening up Pine Meadows right at the beginning of May. Same with Ivan Oaks Campground. So we'd stagger them a little.
So the campgrounds are open seasonally. Are the parks open year-round?
Some are. So some of our parks, technically all of our parks are open kind of year round in the fact that people can recreate in them. However, some of the facilities like bathrooms may not be open. You may not be able to drive into those parks. And so it just depends.
Oh.
Yeah. And then, of course, several of our parks also include boat ramps. And so that is all dependent on our water levels. Usually this time of year, we're ramping up, filling our lakes and reservoirs with water. So that way our campgrounds or our boat ramps can't be open.
Okay. You get an abundant snowfall in that part of the country?
We can, yeah. I've heard,
Okay.
I don't know what it's like this year. I've heard that it's a pretty good snowpack up in the Cascade Mountains. Hopefully, we're hoping for the best because that will help with not only just filling the reservoirs, but also preventing wildfires.
So I can imagine
Lessening. Well, yeah, maybe not preventing them, lessening the impact.
that you folks are looking to hire some work campers.
We are, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Right now, we kind of recruit work campers or volunteers year round, but our campgrounds, specifically Schwartz Campground and Pine Meadows Campground, those are our two busiest campgrounds here on the valley. And we usually typically hire anywhere between 18 upwards to 24 volunteers for the season.
Is that per
And we do
campground?
What's that?
Is that per campground or for the
Total.
Okay.
Total. Yeah. So most of our volunteers are stationed at Schwartz Campground. We kind of have a mix of opportunities between like your traditional campground hosts, where they're checking in and out campers, making the rounds throughout the campground, providing that customer service, visitor services, experiences, selling campsites, that kind of stuff. And then we also have maintenance volunteers that are primarily focused on providing maintenance. These tasks include painting, cleaning fire pits, picking up trash, weeding, watering plants, some trail maintenance, that kind of stuff, helping manage our recycling program in the campground, which then in the state of Oregon, cans, glass bottles, that kind of stuff can be redeemed for cash. And so our volunteers help collect those recyclables from our campgrounds. They redeem them from cash, and then that money goes directly back into the volunteer program.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. And then one of the great perks about our volunteer program is no one has to clean bathrooms. Volunteers, guys. Yes.
Well, that is nice. You guys contract that out?
We do contract that out. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Do you contract mowing as well?
we do contract mowing. Yep. So yeah, generally like our landscape services, which primarily consists of mowing, is contracted out to a local company.
How long have you folks been utilizing work campers? Do you know offhand?
I don't know how long, but I do know it's been for many years. We've
Okay.
utilized volunteers.
I think so. We've interviewed a lot of projects throughout the years, and they all have been relying on work campers to keep them open and operational and serving
Yes.
guests who are coming to visit.
Yeah.
How many hours a week are the work campers expected to put in?
So it depends, anywhere between 20 to 32 hours. We both hire both single people and couples. If you're just a single person looking to volunteer with us, then we just require a minimum of 20 hours per week. If it's a couple, it can be between 30 to 32 hours, depending on which position you're in. But then those hours are split between the couple. So it might be 15 and 15. It could be 20 and 10. It just depends on the couple themselves.
Okay.
How they divvy it between them.
Okay, some couples travel where one of the people work remotely for an employer and the other one works as a work camper. As long as they are getting the 32 hours in, it doesn't matter whether it's one or both of the work campers then?
That is correct. Yep.
Okay.
I've had volunteers where I had a volunteer a couple summers ago. It was just him. It was him and his wife, but his wife was retired, didn't want to do any work, just wanted to play and have leisure time. So he did all the work, and that was totally fine. I have a couple this year. One of them, they both do volunteer and put in hours, but she also is a online therapist.
Ooh.
So
Okay, very good. Would you consider hiring? Would you consider hiring a family, especially one with teenagers?
yeah, we definitely look into that. So far, we haven't had that many families apply, but that's definitely not off the table for us.
I think more and more folks are looking at USACE properties just because they tend to be bigger campsites.
They do, yeah. And especially with our campground. So one of the unique things about two of our campgrounds or reservoirs, Cottage Grove and Dorena Lake, they're alcohol free. So we don't allow alcohol anywhere on the reservoir and in any of our campgrounds or anything like that. And so that really attracts the families to our campground. They are a lot quieter, not as rowdy as maybe some other campgrounds, a little bit more isolated. We don't get the party groups as much. And it really does make it nice and family friendly. And hopefully that would also attract kind of family work campers as well.
And that's one thing that I think we need to stress is that the work campers are not involved in any kind of enforcement activities at all, are they?
That is correct. Yeah. So that's one of the big things with our volunteers. And that's something we have to stress constantly throughout the year in the summer is that we just want them to educate people on rules and regulations and leave the enforcement up to the park rangers. That's one of my favorite perks about the job as a park ranger is getting out and doing that enforcement piece. Because when I worked for National Park Service, I went through their law enforcement training program. And yeah, that's one of my favorite perks. So just, what I tell all my volunteers is just leave that to me. Call me.
Call you and you're going to take care. You'll be the bad guy. Right. There you go.
I will.
Awesome. You said they're volunteer positions, so there's no pay involved, but what kind of perks come with the job?
Yeah, besides just getting to live in a very beautiful place, all our volunteers receive, of course, a free campsite with full hookups. Additionally, our volunteers at S'mores Campground, they have access to free on-site laundry. Even our Pine Meadows hosts, if they wanted to travel the 20 minutes down the road and around a mountain to get to S'mores Campground, they still have access to that laundry facility. All of our volunteers, although it's mostly related to our maintenance volunteers and our Fern Ridge host volunteers, they might receive mileage reimbursement for driving their personal vehicles while conducting official duties. And then we are currently looking into providing some other types of incentives for our volunteers, such as offering like a daily food stipend for days that they work, but we're still kind of working through the process and those regulations. So that's not something we've offered before, but we're trying to hopefully increase our volunteers and incentivize them a little bit more to come out and help out.
Do you folks go
go ahead.
Do you folks give the volunteers a vehicle to use while they're working? Or would they be
Unfortunately, with us, we do not. Now, if they're in the campgrounds, we do have golf carts. So our campground hosts, they get to use the golf cart. Our maintenance hosts also get to use a golf cart. So that's something.
But only when they're working. They're not keeping it on their site as a general rule?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And then throughout the season too, the Rangers will throw little shindigs, appreciation events for them. So like in July, we'll do like an ice cream social for the volunteers. And then we'll do an end of season barbecue, like appreciation for them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's little things like that.
Are the volunteers involved in doing any interpretive things like giving tours or leading discussions or staffing the visitor center and going over some of those things with people?
Yeah. So we're unique is we don't have any visitor centers here.
Okay.
Some other parts of the Portland districts, particularly the dams along the Columbia River, they have a volunteer center, but we do not. But we do run tours of one of our dams during the summer if staff allows it. We also do have interpreter programs. And sometimes we will ask volunteers to help assist with those. Primarily the rangers are kind of doing most of the interpretive talks or doing the dam tours, but we might ask for assistance from a volunteer to come out and help there.
Okay. What kind of traits and qualifications are you looking for from a work camper?
So mostly I love the volunteers. We want them to be flexible, especially with schedule changes and just changes in general. Sometimes volunteers leave suddenly throughout the season. Rangers leave suddenly throughout the season. There's many different factors that go in. So just being able to have that kind of flexibility and patience and adaptability to the ever-changing environments and workforce here. Being able to work weekends and holidays is also a must. That's when we're the busiest, is on those weekends. Usually our maintenance workers, they typically help They kind of set their own hours almost, usually working Monday through Fridays. So they can be a little bit flexible there, but our hosts, we really need them on the weekends. Some other things, basic stuff, some basic computer skills for a campground host are always good to have since they're working with our recreation.gov software. They need to have their own hard-sided RV or trailer that is currently registered and have their tags and registration all up to date. And then also the willingness to haul any supplies or tools in their personal vehicles is always a nice plus as well.
Do you folks have bears in that area?
Sometimes, usually it's just black bears. Most of the time, they just pass through, especially early in the springtime. They might tip over a trash can or two, but usually we're busy enough and there's enough other things going around. They don't stick around for very long.
I heard you mention that they had to have a hard-sided trailer, and so usually that's a code word for we got bears.
Yeah, sometimes they wander through, but like I said, they mostly just keep on going.
Okay. Are there any special skills or training that you're looking for? Do you have any projects that would require an electrician or somebody with specific skills?
No, obviously having any previous hosting experience or experience doing maintenance is always a plus. Any kind of that customer service experience is always good. You don't necessarily need to have been a camp host prior. Obviously, that's always nice. But I've definitely had people brand new to volunteering, to work camping, to being a campground host, and they've done very well in those positions. We provide great training in customer service and communication, how we want the volunteers to interact and talk to our visitors. It's a lesser version of the same training that we get as park rangers. All of our volunteers receive about 8 hours of customer service and communication training.
Okay.
And they'll receive some comprehensive training in R1S, which is the backside of recreation.gov and training in campground operations. But other than that, no real specialty, just.
Okay. And when are the campgrounds typically open, or when do you need volunteers?
Yeah, so I usually like our volunteers to start in April. So one of our campgrounds start or opens at the end of April, but we always like to have volunteers start a few weeks before that just to do the training, and then they can help with some of those park opening tasks, clearing limbs, just getting the campsites ready for the campers. And then we like them to stay through at least Labor Day because that's when we typically close our parks, is shortly after that. However, we do allow volunteers to stay through the end of September, then to help with other park closing tasks. And then the last Saturday, it's either the second to last Saturday or the last Saturday of September is National Public Lands Day. And that's usually when we hold a big tree planting event in one of our parks, and our volunteers usually like to come help with that.
Okay. That sounds like fun. Have a bunch of people come in and plant some trees. Yeah, it's really neat.
And then actually, I haven't touched on this one too much yet, but we do have one year-round position out at Fern Ridge Lake. So typically it's split 6 months. So we have a summer host and a winter host, but that time frame can vary just depending on when the volunteers are there. But that's one of our only year-round positions that we have. And that mostly involves closing the gates at some of our day use parks that are open during the winter, doing some light maintenance projects, and just being in eyes and ears on that area for the park rangers, since it's about an hour drive from the park ranger office. So they help monitor things for us up there.
Okay.
But that's a really nice position. It's really close to Fern Ridge Lake. The campsite is located at our Fern Ridge office, which houses our environmental and stewardship teams. So they get to sometimes help out in the plant nursery and do things, help that side of out as well.
That sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. Are you covered for 2025, or are you still looking for volunteers?
We're still looking for Fern Ridge hosts, either starting sooner for the summer season or even through the winter.
Okay. When it comes to scheduling days off, do the Workampers typically have the same days off week after week?
It can vary from summer to summer. Kind of to check in with the volunteers once they're all here and help create that schedule. Usually, typically what happens is I do some sort of rotation at least once a month. So that way, especially our campground hosts, our Fridays and Saturdays are our busiest days. It's also the days that require the longest amount of hours. And so I usually like to rotate all the volunteer hosts to working in the slower part of the week and the busier part of the week. So we'll usually rotate about once a month so everyone gets that experience, as well as different days off.
Okay.
Some people prefer to have weekends off, others prefer middle of the week off. And I always try to schedule multiple days off in a row. So it's not, to give them the flexibility to go out and explore.
Okay, that's the other question I was going to have. If
Yeah.
somebody needed extra time off because they really wanted to take a week off, could they work a couple of days early one week and a couple of days later in the second week and have a bunch of days off in the middle?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we volunteers, of course, just like all of us, they want vacation time too. So we do work hard to accommodate their requests, especially if they can give us plenty of heads up, hey, I'm taking a cruise in August. Usually we can find that coverage. They'll trade with other volunteers. We can create a schedule that can accommodate those requests.
That's really good to know.
Yeah.
What's involved in the interviewing and hiring process?
Yeah. So the interviewing process, it's usually with me because I'm the volunteer coordinator. And usually takes anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour interview. Mostly it's by phone. Sometimes we'll do like a Zoom call or something like that. And then if I decide I want to proceed with the volunteers, then I'll do a reference check. Usually I would like references from that are professional, not family members or anything like that. So whether it's previous jobs, if they're retired, if they have other volunteer work camping experience, references from those. And then if they are chosen, then the next step of the process is all the paperwork that comes with this position, which can be a lot sometimes, but basically it involves a background check. So all of our volunteers must be able to pass a background check. Ours is a little bit more intensive compared to maybe other federal agencies or other workers, just because we're dealing with critical infrastructure here that they may have access to certain areas that the public may not. And then usually there is also a fingerprinting process, which can be done at another Army facility, usually like a recruiting center. Is often close enough to a volunteer and they can do it for free and they can do digital fingerprints, which makes the whole process much easier on us and for them.
Many people don't realize that it is actually the Army who is running these things.
It is, yes. Yeah. So the Army Corps of Engineers, we fall under the Department of Army. Our command up in Portland is Army.
What could a work camper do to really stand out if they wanted to come work for you specifically?
Yeah, that's a great question. Mainly, I would say the biggest thing that I see when we get applications in is we'll get applications in through volunteer.gov, which is one of two places we do most of our advertising besides Workamper, is they just don't fill out the entire application or they don't really send in a resume. So it's like they provide me their name, maybe contact information, and that's it. And so I don't know their experience from there. And so if I'm receiving 5, 10, 20 applications each week, it's usually the ones that are sending in a full resume, that are putting in past experience. They're the ones I'm going to look at first. And almost treating the hiring process like a job process, I think helps a lot.
Mhm.
And then even if they don't fill out the application on volunteer.gov, they can always send me like a resume, just listing where they've worked in the past, other volunteer opportunities. That always helps quite a bit.
So do you prefer getting applications through volunteer.gov or do you want them by email, or are you okay with either of them?
Either one is fine. If they email me directly, I get to see them a lot faster versus through volunteer.gov. It usually gets filtered through a couple of other entities first before it gets to me. So sometimes the turnaround time from when they submit their application to when I see it might be a week or two,
Okay.
depending on things, versus if they just send it directly to me, then I'm going to see that a lot faster.
That's good to note. Yes. So if people really want a fast hiring decision, they should reach out to you directly.
Exactly.
Okay.
And usually during the hiring process, especially if it's during the winter time when things are a little bit slower on my end, usually the process can be made fairly quickly from setting up the interview, doing the interview, reference checks to making an offer. It can usually
Okay.
happen within a week or two.
Oh, that's nice. Super.
Yeah,
Because people like to plan in advance to have those jobs. And the
they
faster
do.
the
Yeah,
decisions are made, the more flexibility they have to plan other activities they're going to do in the area, which leads to my
exactly.
next question. What is there to do in the area?
Oh my gosh, there's so much to do. So the nearest town to us is the nearest town to Schwartz Campground and Pine Meadows Campground is Cottage Grove. It's about 10,000 ish people. So it's a
Mhm.
pretty small town. It's known as the covered bridge capital of the West. So if you're really into old historic covered bridges, there's quite a few of them around in this area. Cottage Grove has all your basic amenities, has a couple grocery stores, a small hospital, lots of local restaurants, nice little downtown area. But it's also just in general a great jumping off spot to many other places in Oregon. It's one of the reasons why I chose to work here and live here. You're a couple hours away, less than a couple hours away to the Oregon coast. You're less than a couple hours away up into the Cascade Mountains, 3 to 4 hours if you want to get to a more deserty part of Oregon. Crater Lake National Park, Newberry National Volcanic Monument, and Oregon Caves National Monument are only a few hours away. Volunteers could even zip down to the California Redwoods if they had a couple days off. And then just in this area, there's dozens of waterfalls to go see,
Ooh,
all
that would.
within an hour drive up to a couple hours drive.
So a lot of natural outdoor activities available for people.
There is, yeah. I mean, for those who need a little bit more amenities, need to get their city fix, Eugene Springfield, which is the second largest metropolitan area in Oregon, that's only about half an hour away from Shores and Pine Meadows campgrounds, 15, 20 minutes if you're at our Fern Ridge office, more camping. And then Portland, the big city, if you really are craving that big city lifestyle for something, that's only about 2 hours away.
Is Eugene the university town in Oregon?
It is, yep.
The mighty
home of
Ducks.
the Oregon Ducks.
Yep, there you go. Super. I know you're in a relatively remote area and you're nearest Cottage Grove. Many work campers think of a remote area as, or judge how remote it is by how far it is from the nearest Walmart. How far is the nearest Walmart to you folks?
Okay, so if you're work camping out at Schwartz, if you're stationed there, you're 10 minutes away.
Okay.
And 15 minutes away. 20 minutes if you're at Pine Meadows Campground.
Still very reasonable. Yeah, that's not hardly noticeable at all.
Exactly.
Okay, very good. What's one thing you wish all work campers knew or understood before they came to work for you?
Oh gosh. So I would say really probably the biggest thing is as they begin to settle into their new positions, into the campgrounds, we usually have to continuously stress to not enforce any of our rules and regulations and to really leave that up to the park rangers to do that. And so just constantly remembering that their job is to only educate the visitors on our policies, on our rules and regulations. I'll leave the enforcement up to us. They usually are pretty good about that initially. And then as they get more comfortable, they're like, oh, I could just go take care of this. And we don't want them to.
Okay.
And just leave that up to us. But other than that, I think the biggest thing is, like I was just saying, we are so close to many great natural areas. So regardless of what they like to do in their leisurely time, whether it's hiking, boating, chasing waterfalls, covered bridges, lighthouses, there's just so much to do. And in the area, and our campgrounds, Cottage Grove is just a really great jumping off spot.
It's right in the middle of the state, north to south, not in the exact geographical middle.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's one of the things about Oregon I think people don't realize is how diverse it is when it comes to ecosystems, because you've got the forests, lots of forests, and you've got the ocean, you've got the deserts. It's just and farmland out there as well. Everything people could need. It's a great state to spend an entire season.
It is.
Where,
Yeah, absolutely.
where can people get more information about your project and how can they apply again?
Yeah, so we typically will advertise. So there's two places we advertise mainly. There's Workamper, and then there's also volunteer.gov. We usually will post our positions on volunteer.gov kind of late fall, early winter for the following summer. And then I'll also usually create announcements in various related Facebook groups as well. But then if anyone's just interested, even if there's not an announcement up right now, if they're ready to start booking and planning next summer, 2026, they can just contact me directly either by calling our office phone, which is 541-942-5631, or they can just email me directly and get in touch.
Okay.
We can start talking volunteers.
Very good. Does the project have a website?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
If people wanted to take a gander to see what it would look like and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. If they just did a Google search and typed in Willamette Valley Project, then that should lead them to a link to
Super.
bring up, our project.
Can you spell that for them?
Yes. It is WILLAMETTE.
Okay, super. Very good. That's good. It sounds like a wonderful opportunity for somebody who'd like to spend a summer up there in the great Oregon outdoor natural scenic area. And I encourage people to check it out and apply early so they can get one of these positions.
Yeah. We do have one of our volunteer couples. This is their 10th season coming back to us. So it's been super great having them around for the last 10 years. They do amazing work. So obviously they love it here and love working with us to keep coming back after all these years. And we also have other volunteers that will come back for a couple of seasons as well.
Wonderful. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
As you heard from Ranger James Blakely, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Willamette Valley Project is more than just a scenic stretch of Oregon. It's a vibrant recreation system which relies on dedicated volunteers to serve thousands of visitors every year. Workampers are essential to that mission, and their roles are as rewarding as the landscape is breathtaking. There are a variety of jobs available, including campground hosts who greet guests, help manage reservations through recreation.gov, and provide friendly visitor services. Maintenance volunteers assist with painting, trail upkeep, watering plants, and even managing a recycling program where cans and bottles are redeemed to fund volunteer activities. One unique perk of working at the Willamette Valley Project is that all volunteers never have to clean bathrooms because that task is outsourced to private contractors. In exchange for volunteering 20 to 32 hours per week, which depends upon whether you're a solo or part of a couple, Workampers receive a number of perks. Those include full hookup campsite, free laundry access, mileage reimbursement in some cases, and a strong sense of community through appreciation events like ice cream socials and barbecues. Although most positions are seasonal, the Fern Ridge Lake site offers a year-round opportunity for people who want a longer commitment and enjoy a quieter off-season projects like gatekeeping and light maintenance. If you're looking for a beautiful, peaceful setting close to waterfalls, mountain trails, and a short distance from the Oregon coast, this might be the perfect work camping job for you. To apply, you can search for open positions on volunteer.gov, but the fastest way is to reach out to Ranger James Blakely directly by calling 541-942-5631 or emailing him your resume describing your past work camping experiences. His email address is james.m.blakely@usace.army.mil. Even if no listings are currently posted, James encourages potential volunteers to get in touch early, especially if you're looking for volunteer opportunities in 2026 or beyond. Would you like to be featured in an upcoming episode of the Workamper Show? I encourage you to schedule an interview with me at workampershow.com. We'd love to hear about your work camping experiences, how you got started in RVing, and what you love and dislike about the RVing lifestyle. Help others explore all the ways to live a great lifestyle by sharing your story. If you're an employer of work campers, we invite you to be on the podcast too. Share all the details of your work camping jobs in a future episode. It only costs a little bit of your time. Schedule an interview with me today by going to workampershow.com. You'll find the schedule buttons at the bottom of the homepage. That's all for this week's show. I'll have another fun interview next time with a man who had been full-time RVing with his family for more than 8 years. He offers some great tips for work campers who travel with young children. I'll have more details on the next episode of The Workamper Show. Thank you for listening.